Hey everyone, it's time for another 5-minute moment with Michelle. We started last week looking at the Enneagram. Now the Enneagram is very involved and we just kind of are doing a quick overview of each Enneagram type. If you recall, I mentioned that we are all motivated, we are all driven by values. And our values, whatever, we may have lots of values, but whatever the one value is that drives us, that motivates us, when it gets threatened in some way, then we feel vulnerable. And from that vulnerable place, we begin to overcompensate. And the Enneagram takes all of that and divides it into 9 types and shows you how all that works together. So when you look at the Enneagram, if you're trying to figure out what your type is, the best way to do it is think of yourself when you were in your 20s. Now, if you're in your 20s right now, then great, easily done. Those who are older, think about yourself in your 20s and then see how that particular type might describe you at that age. That helps you narrow down your type. So type 2s is what we're talking about today. Type 2s. Now, you probably struggle with saying no to people's needs. Is that you? You feel the need to be needed. Do you tend to care deeply about people and gain joy from serving them? That's a type 2. Maybe you struggle with asking for or accepting help from others. Is that true of you? You feel a need to please all the people, even the people you don't like? Then that definitely sets you apart as a type 2. You can be compassionate to everyone. I mean, even the opposing team or the movie character that isn't real. You can be compassionate to everyone. Your confidence and your joy increases exponentially when someone notices and appreciates your care. And then the last thing I'll mention is your empathy makes you a safe place for everyone. Everyone's drawn to you because you're so empathetic. So type 2s are empathetic and sincere and warm-hearted, friendly, generous, self-sacrificing, sentimental, flattering, and people-pleasing. Let's see if any of that describes you. You might be a type 2. The value, what drives 2s, the thing that they value is this unassuming love. Man, that's fabulous. We all want to be around people that value that, right? And when type 2s feel vulnerable, they are at risk at becoming codependent. Even a little bit prideful in their codependence. I mean, not in the sense that we think of pride, but prideful in that they believe people can't get along without them. And so when they're feeling that kind of vulnerability, and they've moved into codependency, they overcompensate by focusing all their attention on others and refusing to acknowledge that they have their own needs. So they rarely ask for help, or they have trouble receiving help when it's offered, or they just relish this idea that they're indispensable. Somebody needs them. So we call the type 2s the helper. And the thing about type 2s, the phenomenal thing about type 2s that the rest of us do not have, is they have this ability to sense others' needs without being told. I mean, someone walks in the room and they understand and sense their needs without ever being told. Now, the struggle with that is that they can take care of everyone's needs, and that can lead them to being overextended. So type 2. Now, you might not be a type 2, but you might be raising a type 2. You might have heard in that some of your own child. And so if you're raising an Enneagram type 2, let me give you a handful of tips. First of all, remind them that they are loved for who they are, not what they do. They are loved for who they are, not what they do. That Enneagram 2 child needs to know that. And then role play. This is a great idea for if you have a type 2 child. Role play with them. Situations where they should be saying no. Because remember, type 2s have trouble saying no. So in situations where they should be setting a healthy boundary and saying no, role play with them. And then another thing for a type 2 child, if you're raising a type 2 child, is help them process their feelings. Do that by spending some one-on-one time with them, talking about how they feel, and maybe even give them a journal, depending on who they are and at what age they are. Give them a journal to write out some of what they're feeling. So those are some tips if you're raising an Enneagram 2. If you are an Enneagram 2, I want you to understand that the Enneagram is all about personal development. I mean, there's no point in learning anything about the Enneagram if we're not going to use it as a system to move us forward. What the Enneagram does is it shows us a box that we've painted ourselves into and helps us figure out how to get out of it. So if you are in a box and you want out of it, and your box happens to be a type 2, here are a couple of suggestions I have for you. One is, directly express your needs. I know you have this superpower of understanding what everyone in the room needs the minute they walk in the door. The rest of us don't have that superpower. We don't know what you need. We need you to directly tell us what you need. We're happy to meet your need, but we need to know. So you directly tell us what you need. And then don't automatically say yes to everything. Now, I know you're thinking, if you're a type 2, like I can do that. So a couple of ideas. It might help just to practice saying, let me get back to you, rather than give an automatic answer right there. Let me get back to you. I'll let you know tomorrow or next week or whatever. Let me get back to you. That helps you. You're not saying no, but you're giving yourself time, and then you can come back and say no later. So don't automatically say yes. Figure out ways to say no. The second thing there under no is just practice saying no. Maybe say no to the little things first. No, by the way, is a complete sentence. You do not have to add an explanation. You can just say no. So those are my tips for Enneagram Type 2s who are trying to get outside of the box they've been put in. Enneagram 2s, we love you. Man, your warmth just fills up the room, makes us glow, and we love being around you. And so Enneagram 2s, embrace who you are and find ways to become more of who you're meant to be. Get out of the unhealthy habits and pick some healthy habits. So I'll see you next Wednesday at 1, and we'll talk about Enneagram 3s. See you then.